Hello Turcaholics and welcome back to Football a la Turca Season 2 Episode 7. This time you can be sure that's correct. Last week I said the same thing. It was Episode 6. Now it's Episode 7. We'll be covering the Matchday 7 results in the Turkish Super League as well as the UEFA Champions and Europa League results during the midweek. Joining me right now are Özer Dindjer straight from Chicago and of course Pat Cox filling in for the man of the law Burak Sezgin. Pat, you're back in the UK. We're not here with Umut, he had football practice, and Yakup will be jumping on the call in just a couple of minutes, but we're going to get off on a flying foot here straight away because we don't have that much time with Özer. Unfortunately, he only has a 1 hour break. So guys, thank you very much for joining us. Pat, welcome back to the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but thanks for having me back. It's always good to be here.
So let's get started with the Champions League straight away. With Galatasaray, they played the group favorite, the group leaders, Paris Saint Germain at home, and it ended up in a 1-0 defeat for Galatasaray. Paris Saint Germain winning this one with a Mauro Icardi goal in the 52nd minute. Özer, quickly, your thoughts on the match, please.
I think the lead up to the game, there was a lot of tension in there, a lot of stress, quite frankly, because we were all very worried that PSG were going to come to Istanbul and give us a good routing. And I think even the most optimistic Gala fans amongst us were pretty scared that might be the case. In reality, what happened was that we actually played a decent game. We had nice kind of passages of play in the middle of midfield. We had 1 or 2 reasonable chances. The fans were in exceptional mood. There was a really good atmosphere in the stadium. And there was this general kind of like lifting towards a positive vibe from that game. To lose only 1-0 and reasonably well kind of made us think that maybe this is the turning of the corner. And I think Terry in his post-match conference kind of alluded to that in his comments. But I think what followed the game, and I don't want to talk too much about the game itself because I'm sure everyone has their own opinion about that, but it's kind of the aftermath of the game. People thought, okay, now we're on the up now. The season is going to start now. You know, game against PSG, and then in press the next day, some of the headlines, for example, in Fanatic said, "This is a loss that we can be proud of," which I thought was a bit of a ridiculous headline because no team would ever be proud of losing a game. But it might be the kind of thing that had it been reworded, had it said, "This is a loss that we can take hope from," I thought, okay, that would have been better. But I think we jumped too far on the bandwagon of the kind of the conventional wisdom that we somehow played really well and lost unluckily. And maybe even I was guilty about that straight after the game with some of my glowing tweets that immediately followed. But in the cold light of day, and particularly when you look at what happened this weekend, and we'll get onto that later, we realised that I kind of think Galatasaray fans need to reassess that PSG game. And in the cold light of day, you realise that we actually didn't play that well at all. I think we created 1 or 2 chances. PSG could have scored 4 or 5 goals had it not been for Muslera. And Zonzi was probably our best performer, our best outfield performer. And generally, I think we are still firing. And I suppose the positive from it is Muslera, because he's been on really excellent form at the start of this season. Had it not been for him, we'd be pretty much down in the doldrums all over the place. And I think someone wrote on Twitter that the difference between Galatasaray and Besiktas right now is Fernando Muslera, and I fully subscribe to that.
Well, I don't really agree with that.
Really?
No,
you mean the last comment?
The last comment, because I don't think
okay.
I don't think that there's, because if you look at the goals Besiktas are conceding, Karius can't do anything about it. Muslera wouldn't save deflections either, because I mean that's just something.
But Karius had a few serious howlers there already
against Slovan Bratislava, and that's it. He played excellently in every other game. And that's the fact. That's the truth. And people are spitting this narrative of how he's part of the problem, but he really isn't. I mean, yeah, he had a terrible game against Bratislava. That doesn't suddenly make the other 7 games he played bad. He played very good in all other games. That's just how it is, and people are turning it into that. But Muslera made a couple of really brilliant one-on-one saves against Paris Saint Germain, for example. Again against Cherbourg, he made 1 or 2 key saves. Karius is making those saves too. If you look at the match against Alanya, if you even look at the Gaziantepspor that ended 3-2, but he made like 4 one-on-one saves or something in that match. But that's stuff that doesn't get noticed because you lose that match by 3-2. You lose the game, so it doesn't get pointed out.
Well, that's the thing. As in, Muslera is kind of single-handedly winning us points.
Yeah, but you don't
Karius
have
is being defined by his howlers, which is his problem.
Yeah, but if you have one mistake, that shouldn't define the 7 other games you played. That's my point I'm making. You don't have Marcao taking a red card and giving away a penalty in the 6th minute in an away game, because I don't think that Muslera would salvage something there either if that happened. You don't see the 2 first goals you can see in a tough away game against Trabzonspor being deflections the goalkeeper can do nothing about.
But remember that in the first 3 weeks of the league we had 3 red cards, and
you lost in Denizli.
We lost the Denizli game. But Muslera helped us salvage points in the other 2.
Yeah, but didn't you score in those games beforehand? You have to
maybe in the context of the game, as in I don't want to create necessarily a debate about Karius versus Muslera.
Obviously, Muslera is the better goalkeeper, but I don't agree with this narrative of the difference right now is Muslera, because Besiktas have a lot more problems than Galatasaray have. I don't think you guys are conceding stupid goals constantly. If you look at the goals Besiktas are conceding compared to the goals you guys are conceding, it's a different world. Like with Besiktas, basically, the ball could deflect off of a guy's ass and drop in the goal at this moment. Yeah. That's what the situation Besiktas are in.
And the problem that we have is that we don't even have the possibility of the ball deflecting off someone's ass and going in for us. We can't seem to score goals.
Yeah, but you had in the early weeks, you had like the first 2 goals Babel scores were both both deflections that got you a goal, and you had luck on your side a little bit there. Besiktas haven't up until now. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I don't agree with that narrative. Of course, Muslera has been saving points for Galatasaray year in, year out. As for this match, I really felt like Terim kind of agreed with the fans in the sense of being afraid of losing big time, because if you looked at the lineup, it was a very defensive lineup. If you also looked at the match, they played with a lot of people behind the ball. I just had the feeling that they were trying to limit the damage. And at the end of the day, you had that one really good shot by, I think it was Lemina, that could have gone in the first half, but that was such an individualistic effort. And then you had that one opportunity for Falcao, I think, but then I think Di Maria himself had like 4 chances or something. And I think it's just a matter of if you manage to keep that goal off in the first half, then it's not going to escalate that much. And I didn't feel like... I felt like PSG was playing a decent match, but they weren't very efficient. Although, of course, Icardi, I think he had like his first touch of the game, and it was a goal.
The incident you referred to in the first half, I think it was Seri who had the shot, but I agree with you. It was all kind of individual moments that kind of gave Galatasaray the spark. And I think generally that's become the theme of our performance this year in all competitions. We don't have a plan.
It just feels like you guys are relying on some individualistic brilliance, and I feel like the same thing goes for Besiktas, by the way, and there's a resemblance there. I think Besiktas the last seasons under Şenol Güneş were relying far too much on individualistic brilliance rather than team effort. Avcı's trying to create a team in there, but if the results don't go your way, heads start hanging. Yeah, it's difficult, but I don't know. Let's move over to the Europa League and straight away with Besiktas, because they also lost 1-0 at home against Wolverhampton Wanderers. The goal here coming in the 3rd minute of stoppage time for the 2nd match day in a row for Besiktas. They lose the match in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. The same thing happened in Bratislava. I felt like it wasn't deserved here. I think Besiktas should have gotten at least a point here. They probably should have won. They basically dominated this match for 80 minutes. And the last 10 or so minutes, Wolves really started started getting a couple of dangerous opportunities. They even had a goal disallowed for offside a couple of minutes before. Adama Traore was causing a lot of problems on the right once he came on the pitch. He also went on and scored a brace against Manchester City in Manchester this weekend, so they were definitely saving him, it seemed like. I think he came on around the 65th minute or something. But up until the 80th minute or so, Besiktas were really in control, but they were basically decapitated up top. They didn't have a proper striker. Burak Yilmaz was being spared for this match, rested, not even in the squad. Nukudu was sick with a migraine, didn't play. Diaby had some indigestion problems apparently. So 3 players that played a key role in the weekend's match weren't here. And I think Besiktas have had a problem throughout the season where they struggle scoring goals. And that was definitely the case here too, where I think they got a couple of half chances. They dominated possession and all that, but no real clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities, which has been the problem for the majority of the season so far. And a 1-0 loss against Wolves. Flattering win for Wolves, I would say, but on the other hand, Besiktas really had to win this match after the Slovan debacle, and they couldn't do that. I don't know if Yakup's been is on the call already. Yakup, are you here?
Yeah, I joined just a second ago.
Okay, well, welcome on the show then, Yakup. Let's quickly move over to Trabzonspor then, because Trabzonspor were also in action against FC Basel in the Europa League, and that match ended in a 2-2 draw. Goals here coming from Silvan Widmer, putting Basel 1-0 ahead in the 20th minute, but Abdulkadir Parmak scored a screamer 6 minutes later to make it 1-1. Jose Sosa seemed to snatch the win in the 78th minute for Trabzonspor, making it 2-1, but Noah Okafor equalized just 2 minutes later, and the points were divided amongst the two. Basel, of course, now have 4. Trabzon have 1 point in the group, and I didn't mention it before, but Besiktas are on 0 points still in their group. Galatasaray are on 1 point in their group after 2 matches. So, quickly, your thoughts on this match, please.
I was before the group stage began. I was always afraid that Basel was supposed to be the strongest team in the group. With their last result against Krasnodar, I was really afraid. But I really did like the play. The coach, Karaman didn't play the regular starters, Sosa, Wakayeme, and Pereira. And although that showed, I didn't think that it was too big of a quality difference between the two teams. I didn't like Doğan Erdoğan. Doğan Erdoğan had a really bad game in my opinion. Avdijaj also, but Obi Mikel just keeps getting better and better. The goal for me was just like an unbelievable moment, because before this game I watched the Besiktas game, and that wasn't the most fun game for me, but still.
Catch me Solson. You watched that game. I said we dominated for 80 minutes, but it was really hard to watch.
Yeah, it was like I watched it because I was with a friend of mine at this, but
Yes, your infamous friend.
Yeah.
I think everyone on the show already is familiar with your Besiktas friend.
Yeah, he's the only reason why I keep up with Besiktas. But the game was great. Unfortunately, not a great result. 2-2. Before the game started, you could probably think that 2-2 should be a good result for us. But there was, if you watch the game, there was maybe a little bit more in it. We're still looking for a win. I think pretty much every Turkish team in the Europa League is looking for a win. Let's hope that it comes, in the next round.
Yeah, I watched Basel twice against PSV. I went to the home game, and then I watched the return leg live on TV. And the thing what always stood out to me is that they're not a particularly great team, in the sense that I think that Trabzonspor probably could dominate them, and we saw that here, I think. But they are so efficient. They are an incredibly efficient team, especially against PSV. They really showcase that they need like only a couple of chances, and they'll score 2 goals at least. They're a very good side in that regard, I think. And Trabzon could have gotten more here, and that's kind of a recurring theme, I think, on this match day in Europe, where Besiktas should have at least gotten a point. Trabzonspor could maybe have won it. And then the next one, Basaksehir taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach, the leaders in the Bundesliga right now, mind you. They had lost on the opening match day, very surprisingly, to Wolfsberger, 0-4, but they came back now and they got a point in Istanbul with a added time goal as well. Goals here coming from Edin Visca in the 56th minute, seemingly clinching a win for Basaksehir up until the dying moments. But in the first minute of stoppage time, Patrick Herrmann made it 1-1 and dashed Basaksehir's dreams. That would have been a great result against a very strong side, of course. But again, our coefficient points suffer because we can't get the job done. Our Turkish clubs can't get the job done. Basaksehir, I felt like, could have definitely won this match. Probably should have won this match. But yeah, another late equalizer. But yeah, what can you say? These teams that the Turkish clubs are playing in Europe right now, I think all active clubs in Europe got a really tough draw. They're playing against very good quality sides. If you look at what Wolverhampton pulls off this weekend in the Premier League, and if you look at Borussia Mönchengladbach's standing in their own league right now in the Bundesliga, and of course, like I said, Basel already knocked out PSV in the Champions League qualifiers and such. So these are not teams to be underestimated. But let's move on to the Super League results. On Friday, we had Malatyaspor trashing Denizlispor 5-1. Adis Yahovic was the star of the night with 4 goals, 2 of those coming from the penalty spot in the 28th and the 61st minute. Right in between, Donald Mitchell had already scored the second for Malatyaspor, so it was 3-0 by the 61st minute. Then Hugo Rodallega managed to pull one back for Denizlispor in the 65th minute, but just 4 minutes later, Adis Yahovic scored again, and then in the 90th minute, he added a 4th to his tally. Very impressive night for Yahovic and a very good win for Malatyaspor, 5-1 against Denizlispor. Yakup is going to tell us a little bit more about this match.
Well, before I start with this match, I recently started like a football manager league where I'm managing Denizlispor. So this one hurts a little bit more for me today. It was a nice goal from Rodallega, just to have the good points for Denizlispor out of it. But otherwise, it was really a thrashing. Yahovic has been a good striker for a couple of years now, and he's always shown that he's a player to be afraid of. The penalties, in the first couple of minutes, they pretty much stopped any momentum that Denizlispor could have had, like in the first half hour, and after that the second goal. So this was pretty much like a gone game from the first half. Denizlispor, not the greatest game. It's good, as I said, good to see Rodallega again having a goal, being an ex-Trabzonspor player. But Yahovic is just murdering it at the moment. He scored like 4 goals, and he's on top of the top scorer list at the moment. And Malatyaspor is probably the team that a lot of teams brush it aside as that they might not be the best team because they're like the 9th at the moment. But they showed that they have a couple of players that are really really good and wants to be reckoned with. But with Sezgin at the helm, it's just it's a team to be really afraid of. Good win for Malatya, and normally with big results there might be a small chance for the losing team, if you watch the game, to declare that maybe the score shouldn't have been that high. But now this one at Malatyaspor written over it like from the start. So bad game for Denizli, unfortunately, but it is what it is.
What did you think of the 2 penalties? Were they correct calls in your opinion?
Yeah, the first one I didn't immediately see the first one. It might seem a little bit a little bit harsh, but yeah, he did have an arm around the guy's neck, and the ref went back and looked at it with the VAR. So if he sees it at the VAR and he still thinks it's a penalty, you have to agree with agree with the ref then, Yeah. So the first one he did have a arm on his throat, but some could have said that it was maybe a little bit too not a penalty worthy. And the second one, yeah, the keeper comes out. He does hit the ball at first, so I wouldn't have given a penalty for that one, to be honest. But I'm not a man of the law. I don't know the rules that greatly as you guys do, so I might be wrong. But the second one shouldn't have been a penalty.
The main event on Friday was Fenerbahce Antalyaspor, and that match ended in a surprising 1-0 win for Antalyaspor. The only goal of the match here coming in the 6th minute through Ufuk Akyol. He had already scored last week as well. And yeah, Fenerbahce were unable to find an equalizer in the remaining 90 or so minutes of the match with added time and all that factored in. Disappointing evening for Fenerbahce. And Pat is, of course, here to tell us a little bit more on this match.
Yeah, so I think, as I was saying to you guys before we started recording, I just can't quite understand the selection policy of Ersun Yanal, where he, once again played a defensive midfielder in Jailson as centre back when on the bench we had both Serdar Aziz and Sadık Çiftpınar. The first goal was quite a clear sort of misunderstanding with the defence, whereby the Antalya guy just got straight through one-on-one, and it was a relatively straightforward finish. And this is another example where I just don't quite understand why, when we've got at least two specific centre-backs, why we're still playing Jailson, who I just assumed would still be a replacement for when we didn't have any other centre-backs really available. And we paid the price again. Moving forward, yeah, we had a couple more chances. I think classic Fenerbahce, we had a number of penalty shouts as well. There was one where it hit the hand. Sorry, it looked like it hit the hand of the defender, but sort of on closer inspection for me, it sort of hit his hip rather than his hand, despite the protestations of the Fenerbahce player. Another talking point was the potential red card for Muriqi, where he looks like he goes for the shin of the Antalyaspor player. Again, it was something that I had to sort of look over and over, because when you see things on social media, you can never quite tell if that's the full the story really. But for me, it looked more like his own foot clipped the foot of the Antalyaspor defender and then went into the shin, rather than it being kind of like a high tackle, which obviously would have warranted a yellow if not a red card. I think this is more just a bit of bad luck rather than anything too malicious. There was one later on which I guess, if it had been a first yellow card, that would have been a second yellow and off, which I think was a bit more deliberate, where he kind of stamped on the foot a little bit. Again, probably wasn't malicious, but these things happen, and you've got to see a card when you get there. Fenerbahce were unlucky. There are a couple of sort of, again, like I said, penalty shouts. The one that was the clearest for me was the free kick towards the end of the game, where it did look like it came off the arm of the Antalyaspor player there. But again, a famous story of Fenerbahce is just, for me, it's just selfishness, where Kruse could have pulled it back to, I believe, Muriqi, only to kind of hit it straight at the Antalyaspor keeper. Where again, a quick pass could have been an equaliser to then break the deadlock, really, because with such an early goal, I think Antalyaspor just did probably ultimately worked out as the winning tactic by just sitting back and soaking up possession. I was looking at the stats, which again don't really surprise me. 76% possession for Fenerbahce, but only 6 shots on target compared to Antalyaspor's 5. So the remaining 19 shots that Fenerbahce made were all off target. Another game where we just didn't score, and I think despite a good start to the season, it's these small games that slowly add up, really. And I think if this is a tactic other teams are going to see and think all we need to do is sit back, soak up the possession, maybe catch them on the counter attack, then it could be quite an important factor in the championship race, really. So I think we're a bit unlucky, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to create those sorts of shots on target chances, then you can't really expect to overturn a sort of early 1-0 deficit.
Let's talk about those penalty possessions. Let's talk about the Vedat Muric position. I think that's the main thing. So, first and foremost, my question, Özer, what did you think of those two penalty positions? The one shot for the handball in the first half, and then late on in the match, the handball for the free kick that got blocked.
Yeah, the handballs. Well, the two handball situations were kind of 50-50. I think you've definitely seen them given before. But in terms of the biggest talking point for the game, I'd say that was the Vedat Muric tackle, because it looked like he went in pretty hard. It was like 1.5, kind of a 1.5 footed tackle rather than 2 footed tackle. But most of the time that's going to be a red card. So I'm surprised that he didn't see anything there. I think he doesn't seem like the kind of player who'd like go in for a malicious leg breaking tackle. But nonetheless, it was a really bad challenge, and he should have probably been given the red card for that.
Yeah. Yakup, what did you think of Muric's tackle?
I didn't watch the game, but I saw the position. I know that people think that because he went for the ball, it shouldn't be a red, but in my opinion, it pretty much was a red.
Yeah, I think the going for the ball part is not really. I mean, that's what we had a couple of weeks ago with Nkudu, right? I mean, he went for the ball too and stepped on a guy's ankle. Didn't get a red, got a yellow. Then we had, I think it was Limseri. His foot was quite a bit higher, but still also going for the ball.
I mean, if you're going for the ball and you end up breaking the guy's leg, you can't. I mean, you can't get away with it. That's the intent of going for the ball shouldn't be enough to let you off.
Yeah.
If it's a bad tackle,
at the very least, I think this was a yellow card. I think it was a reckless challenge, not necessarily a red. I don't think it's a clear error, and that's probably why VAR didn't come in. Because I kind of I can follow Pat's logic in the sense that I do think that he didn't come in with a high foot. He came in going for the ball, and you can see when you slow it down and you look at the replay, you can see that his foot kind of shoots up. I don't know if he hits the ball and that's the reason, or if it's off the foot of the Antalyaspor's defender. So I can see why VAR didn't intervene here. Probably not a clear error, but I could have definitely seen a red here too. It's kind of similar to the Nkudu card a couple of weeks ago, where I think if there's a red card there, nobody will look twice, will complain. And I think it's the same thing here. If there's a red card here, nobody will complain really. But at the very least, a yellow card. I was kind of baffled by that, the fact that it wasn't a yellow card. And then you do have, of course, that second position a couple of minutes later where he does step on a player's foot. So I think he definitely should have gotten sent off in this match with 2 yellows or with a direct red, possibly. As for the penalty,
I agree with that.
Yeah, as for the penalty positions, I think the first one, I don't know whether it hit his arm or his leg, like you say, Pat. But I think it was actually outside the box because I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was like kind of right on the line, and I think his arm was actually over the line. So even if it did hit his arm, I don't think it's a penalty because it would be a free kick, and that's probably why VAR didn't intervene there. And then later, the final one, I just think that arm is so close to his body, and he's turning, he's jumping, and it's like it's too close to his body. And it's not above his shoulder height or anything like that. He's not sticking it out. He's just, going chicken wing. And he's not like making a move for the ball either. So for me, that would have been a very harsh penalty. So I don't even think it's a 50-50. For me, that's just not a penalty. Yakup, what do you think about the penalty positions? Did you manage to catch those?
I unfortunately didn't. So I won't say anything.
Okay, well maybe we can get Burak's opinion on it in a separate recording and I'll insert it. Or maybe he can just let us know on Twitter or something what he thought of the positions. I'm very curious what our man of the law thinks of it. But an unfortunate, I'm going TRT Spor on us here, but an unfortunate defeat for Fenerbahce, not for us, but for Fenerbahce. So... But yeah, they came off a good result last week in the derby, a draw. That's probably what they wanted there. They were on schedule, and this kind of puts a stick in their wheel. Not a good result. Unexpected defeat at home against a tough side. Antalyaspor are not an easy team to beat. And I think I said last week, there just aren't any easy teams to beat right now. Okay, Fener had that runaway win against Gaziantep in the first week or so, but circumstances, 3 penalties within 20 minutes. I'm not saying they weren't penalties, they were penalties, so you can't say anything about that really. But if a match starts like that, if you get 2 early goals, you're probably going to run away with it against teams that are planning to sit back and maybe try and hit you on the counter, because that shatters their game plan. But Antalyaspor's game plan worked out here, and they got an impressive win away at Kadıköy. Let's move over to Saturday. Kasımpaşa taking on Kayserispor. Konyaspor, and it's going to be again a match for Pat. I'm quickly going to run over the scoring procedure here. In the 20th minute, Ömer Ali Şainer put Konyaspor 1-0 up. The goal was initially disallowed, but VAR rectified that, and it was allowed. There was no offside there. Then crazy couple of minutes, because Veysel Sarı equalized in the 45th minute for Kasımpaşa, but then that's not right. I think Faruk Mia made it 2-0. Then Marko Jeftovic made it 3-0, all in added time, and then Veysel Sarı got the 1-3. I think BN Sports had it wrong here, because that's how they had listed the scoring procedure. But basically 1-3 at halftime, and then finally there was another penalty in the 63rd minute. Faruk Mia took that one and made it 1-4, and I think that Marko Jeftovic had initially missed the penalty, but goalkeeper Fatih Öztürk was off his line too quickly, so then it had to be retaken, and Faruk Mia took that. Actually, I'm not sure, but I think that might be a rules violation, because I think if a penalty has to be retaken, the same guy has to shoot it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be a rules violation. Anyway, Pat, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Obviously, 5 goals there, and like you say, a very exciting few minutes there just before half time. I think when also looking at some of the other games as well, it really comes down a lot for the goals to luck, really, just in terms of where the ball seems to be falling if the goalkeeper doesn't manage to pick it up. Because at least 2 of these goals for Konyaspor were ones where, it just fell beautifully for Konyaspor to go ahead and score the goal, really, which could have changed a lot of results. Obviously, balls have gone in different directions from the keepers. The first one obviously fell very well for Ömer Ali. I think Faruk Mia maybe wasn't the goalkeeper, but it was sort of a bit of a, what do you call it, sort of banged around a little bit and fell perfectly to his feet and scored the goal. For the penalty for Marco, it was a lot clearer than sort of, I think, the potential one over in the Fenerbahce match. It was very obvious that it hit his hand, and I don't think any complaints there. And then when there was the retake later on, it was, he was miles off his line, so you can't really complain anything about that. I guess when you go down 3-0 before halftime, it's quite difficult to carry the momentum, and I think it's probably game over for Kasımpaşa at that point, despite the goal just before halftime. And Faruk Mia again sort of finishing off really for Konyaspor. A good result on the road for them. They returned back to Konya with the 3 points.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the retake rules, because I don't think you're allowed to change the taker already, because essentially you're letting that same penalty be taken over. It's not seen as a new penalty, so I think it should be the same guy taking it. But I'm not gonna be wasting time right now looking that up, but we will try and find that and maybe talk about it in on Twitter or something. Or if you are specialized in IFAB rules and you're a man of the law, please let us know that I don't have to look it up. Guys, any comments? Do you have any knowledge on whether if a penalty is retaken, if the taker can change? And what did you guys think of the penalties?
I've got no idea myself, but the football rules are changing so often now. I don't even know if I know the rules of football anymore, to be honest. Yeah,
it's true. There's been an insane amount of changes the last 2 or 3 years. Moving on to the next match, this is a pre-recorded segment which I recorded earlier in the day with Umut Naderi. And moving on, things are going from bad to worse for Kayserispor, who have now lost again away at Göztepe. The match here ending Göztepe 4, Kayserispor 0. Goals here coming from Alparslan Öztürk in the 7th minute, Soner Aydın in the 43rd minute, Stefano Napoleoni in the 45th and the 50th minute to make it 4-0. And Serdar Gürler had also had a penalty disallowed. That was a very interesting position. And here to talk us through this match is Umut Naderi.
Hello there, lads. Göztepe started the game with a lot of confidence despite the results in the last week. In the first half, Alparslan Öztürk scored a wonderful header, a flying header from a corner from Soner Aydın from the near post. And just a few minutes later, Cameron Jerome and Mosora made a 1-2 just outside the box, where Jerome found a gap to shoot it, but he hit the post at the end of it. Unlucky for Cameron Jerome. And around at the 13th minute, a cross from Soner Aydın, who played really well this game, into the penalty area to Cameron Jerome resulted Cameron Jerome to be brought down by the defenders. Then Cüneyt Çakır gave away a penalty, but it took about 2 or 3 minutes to confirm the penalty decision though, because there was a probable offside situation before the attack started for the Göztepe, but after the VAR review, penalty was given to Göztepe. And this is where the things get interesting. Serdar Gürler stepped up to take it, but at first he scored it. It was looking clear and all, but after the VAR check, goal was denied because actually Serdar Gürler made a violation of the rule, suggesting that penalty taker must only hit the ball once while taking it. And from the footage we saw, Serdar's planted foot, which is his left foot at the time, got slipped while taking it, and the ball hit onto his left foot as he's going for the left corner, taking the penalty. And it's a really rare incident to see and strange thing to see as well, but good to see Çakır and his VAR team handled pretty well. And after the decision, ball was given to Kayserispor to take an indirect free kick from that spot. And coming to the 42nd minute of Göztepe, corner was cleared by Kayserispor defenders, but Soner Aydın, he did a great volley with his left foot onto the rebound, making it 2-0 for Göztepe. And just 2 minutes after this goal, while Kayserispor was looking for a goal, they lost it in a rapid Göztepe counter-attack from the left wing. Serdar Gürler carried the ball for like 40 meters or so, serving it to Stefano Napoleoni, who makes it 3-0 for Göztepe. And after the second half, Göztepe again came from the left flank, and a low cross gone through everybody in the area, and again Napoleoni finished it with his right foot on the far post for the Göztepe's fourth goal. And Kayserispor also tried to reduce the margin with their attacks, but no luck. They hit the post at the end of the game from Hasan Hüseyin's long shot around 80th minute, and just around 90th minute, Miguel Lopez fell around the edge of the box from a tackle by Halil Akpınar. At first, Cüneyt Çakır went for a penalty decision, but again with the VAR review, it was reverted, and the VAR footage said that it was outside the box where the tackle was taking a hit, and the decision was reverted into a free kick at the edge of the box. Attila Turan hit it, but it went straight to the wall, and the game ended 4-0 for Göztepe.
Yeah, a couple of big VAR decisions here, but ultimately with little impact on the final scoreline. Imagine if Kayserispor get back in the match after Serdar Gürler's ruled infraction, really, which was a very accidental position. Definitely go out of your way to check that out. I mean, I don't even think that Çakır had noticed it. I think I certainly can't remember ever seeing a penalty being disallowed for something like that. That's one of those things that VAR brings with it, that we see, pick up on those things, on those little things. If it's whether it's fair or not, I think it's a little bit of a silly rule when a player slips out a little bit and it accidentally hits his foot. I mean, Feels a little harsh.
But the ball changes direction because he was going for the left corner, but at the end ball went in on the center of the goal.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper also went to the right. If I'm not
mistaken. But it could be the other way, you know.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, look, if the penalty would go towards the direction of the goalkeeper and he would have otherwise maybe saved it, that's a different matter. It just feels a little harsh. I mean, sometimes a penalty can be really crucial, very much deserved. I mean, sometimes, you know, they let's say it's a handball on the line and they rob you from a scored goal basically, and something like that happens. Can you imagine the frustration? It's just fortunate for Göztepe that they ended up winning this one. And for Kayserispor, things are going from bad to worse. As I said in the introduction, I do believe that after the match, the Kayserispor Başkan president resigned. Things are looking very grim there right now. And in the past couple of weeks, we've been saying that Kayserispor aren't actually playing bad football. They've just gotten a couple of unfortunate results. But here, they just got walloped by Göztepe, who thus far have looked like one of the worst sides in the league.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Until this week.
Mm-hmm. And what would you credit that to? Do you think that's the difference of Soner Aydın, who you said played a good match, Marcio Mosoro, who was very much involved again, and Stefano Napoleoni, of course, getting on the score sheet twice, and also Serdar Gürler, he didn't get on the score sheet, but he was involved in many of Göztepe's attacks.
Yeah, he's a rapid winger, you know, because it makes it possible to make a quality counter-attacks. And as for Soner Aydın, I think it's the incident that both Mosoro, Soner Aydın, and also Napoleoni came from Basaksehir, and they know each other really well. Played years and years with each other, and also taking out Yasin Öztekin and Eren Derdiyok from the field and giving chance to Cameron Jerome once again is a good thing as well for Göztepe, and does well.
Yeah, certainly a great result for Göztepe, and Kayserispor now bottom of the table with still only just 3 points. And the main event of Saturday evening was Gençler League Galatasaray. This match ended in a 0-0 draw. The only real highlight of this match was a red card in the 86th minute for Ahmet Oğuz, a second yellow card. Not really much to be said about it. I think both yellows were clear as day. And the other controversial position maybe was Mariano's yellow card in the 30th minute. Might have been a red card. But I'm not sure. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Özer, quickly, your thoughts on the match, your frustrations, I should say.
Well, absolutely. I think it says a lot about the game and the start of our season that the highlight from this game, which is essentially the back-to-back champion of Turkey, playing against the rock-bottom side, the highlight of this game is a red card in the 86th minute. There's literally nothing more to say. I'm struggling for analysis of this. Our terrible form continues. We've only scored one goal in the last 5 games in all competitions. This is our worst start to the league season since 1989. What are we doing out there? I mean, what is Galatasaray playing? Whatever it is, it's certainly not football. And I think everyone is just pretty pissed off at what we're seeing now, because we're seeing the same thing time and time again. And then we got, like I mentioned before, maybe a tiny bit of false hope from the PSG game because we thought we played well, even though we lost. And someone has to take accountability for this now. And my thing is it's all down to Terry, because we're not playing any proper football. There's no system. We can't string 3 passes together. So that's the gameplay. Then we've got the starting lineups, which are just shocking. How is Selçuk able to get into the starting lineup and wear the captain's armband? It's just totally beyond me. The guy's finished. Finito. He hasn't played football in years. I don't know how he's even able to get into the squad. We just signed 12 new players over summer. Aside from the guys who were injured, so Seri got some food poisoning or whatever from food that he had the night before. Lemina was injured. Fine, that's okay.
Did he go out to dinner with Diaby or something?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but that's not an excuse because we signed more players. We have, for example, Taylan Antalya, who we signed, who hasn't played a single minute of football yet. We've got players in the academy who are not given a chance because Selçuk is given the nod ahead of them. I mean, what's the point in us spending money running the academy, having scouts and coaches for all these different levels of development if they're not going to play any players? Why do we have to see the same crap week in, week out? We shouldn't have to put up with this anymore. Terim came out and tried to take some of the criticism on himself after the match by saying, maybe I should have fielded hungry youngsters, maybe I should drop myself a point. But it's too little too late, Terim. Why is it taking you 7 weeks to realise this? This should have been obvious to you from week 1, week 2, week 3 at the latest. Why is Selçuk playing? Why is Belhanda playing? I mean, I'm really fed up with criticising Belhanda now, but at least I'll say this. I think by now he's universally accepted as being utter trash. Before, people were like, oh, Belhanda's good, he does this, he does that. He does nothing. I've been saying since 2017, but now finally, better late than never, everyone has realised that this guy is awful. But it highlights the lack of certainty in Terim's mind about his own squad. He takes Belhanda out to the press conference ahead of the PSG game. A week later, he's probably going to drop Belhanda for the foreseeable future. At least that's what the press are reporting. So how can the guy go from sitting next to you in the press conference to being dropped from the team in 1 week in a matter of 2 games? All of these are things that are question marks in Terim's mind, which is not good. It's not a good indicator for the next few months ahead. I think we're going to have the difficult. There was a video going around on Twitter that went viral about someone had zoomed into Belhanda for about 2 minutes, watching him just basically walk around looking disinterested on the pitch until he finally lost the ball, gave the ball away, and then the other guys almost scored. So I think the whole Belhanda thing is done now. I don't expect him to start anytime soon. And if he does, I'll be absolutely appalled. I think you mentioned about the other potential incident in the game. I just want to touch on that as well. Mariano, because Mariano kind of pushed or punched whoever the Göztepe defender is. His name escapes me now. He kind of punched him in the back in the way that kind of Hardy did against Tony Adams in the UEFA Cup final. He punched him in the back, and that was 100% red card. I don't understand what Mariano was thinking. He's lost his mind as well. Referee should have given him a 100% red card. I would have liked to see the referee give Belhanda a red card just for being on the pitch. I would have liked to see the referee give Ryan Babel a red card just for being so bloody wasteful. Send off the whole Nagatomo as well, who, as everyone knows in this podcast, is one of my favourite players. I love the guy, but he's just so out of form. He needs to be benched. And in the back of my mind, there's the ghost of Martin Linus, who's been sidelined for all of this. His contract's been frozen. It's such a tragedy. The guy has to sit in the stands until January and watch this show. Well, he's not eligible to play until January because paid, right? His license has been... Yeah, he's still being paid, yeah. So his playing license has been frozen. And it's just a shame because that's, again, a huge squad mistake from squad planning from Fatih Terim. So he's making errors in squad planning, in substitutions. He took off Andone in this game. He took off Faguli, he wasn't at all our worst player, and somehow managed to allow Babel and Belhanda to play for 90 minutes. Or Belhanda to play for 90 minutes. So Terim is the single person that I blame for all of this.
And how do you think he can fix it? What is the change within the squad the Galatasaray have right now? What do they need to do to be hungrier? Because I think that's the main issue, and we've been seeing that since the beginning of the season, and it really reminds me of the 17-18 Besiktas side that I think everyone had pegged to win the league with both their fingers up their noses with great ease because they had a superior squad. But what we saw at the end of the day, I think, was in the league at least, we didn't see it in the Champions League because in the Champions League they were hungry. I just think complacency, lack of hunger, the result maybe of back-to-back championships. I think when you win those back-to-back championships, there is always going to have a form of complacency is going to sneak in. Do you think that's the main issue of this team, despite the fact that they have made quite a few changes in the summer?
Yeah, I think that's a fair analysis. I definitely see parallels with Besiktas 17 and 18. I just think that this kind of saturation point that the team has reached they need to snap out of it quickly, because this is a historic opportunity for Galatasaray, because we signed 12 players over summer. We've assembled a squad worth some 136 million euros. There's a huge gulf on paper between Jimbom and the rest of the league, but that is not translating into results. It's not translating into performance or anything at all. And if that doesn't happen, that's going to be a huge. If we don't win the league, having made these investments, it's going to be a huge loss, both psychological and financial for the club, because we have to see the results. In terms of to answer your other question, what can Terim do? I think the only thing he can do is to shock the lineup. So he needs to gut that midfield out and change the defense, or at least the wing backs. Bring on Ömer, bring on Şener even to swap the two wing backs. Definitely drop Belhanda. I don't want to see his face even in the lineup on the team sheet. Bring on Seri, Lemina, and Zonzi for that three when they're all fit. I assume they'll all be fit for the next game after the international break. Falcao is going to be back, and concentrate on supplying Falcao, because the guy gets one pass and he scores, as we saw 2 weeks ago. Even though the goal was ruled offside, but the guy is so clinical. The guy's world-class finisher. Give him the ball. Supply him with the ball. We're not doing that.
At least not in the area that he needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. Why not experiment by playing Yunus and Thailand in midfield instead of Babel, who seems to be completely disinterested and wasting opportunities left, right, and centre. So I think throw in a couple of youngsters who are hungry, who want to disrupt the gameplay. Or Emre Mor. So Emre Mor came on with 10-15 minutes to go in the game at the weekend. He made a couple of really insightful passes that could have started something, that could have done something. This is the guy who wasn't even in the squad against PSG. Someone who could have used his pace and his confidence and his trickery to go around players. He wasn't even in the squad. So Terim needs to send a signal to the squad, play some, give some youngsters their season debut, and see how they perform. If we lose, then at least we say, hey, look, we gave the youngsters a chance to play with the new transfers. And no one's really gonna. You can't be too disappointed if that happens. But if the same squad plays week in, week out, and plays rubbish, of course you're gonna criticize the coach. What is that old expression? Insanity is repeating the same mistakes again and again and expecting different results. And Terim is very much on the verge of that point, unless he fixes it up after the international break.
This is exactly how I was feeling about Şenol Güneş the last 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Quick question. I don't remember if I talked about this with Umut on the air or if we spoke about this off air, but one of the things that I think is one of the problems for Galatasaray is in the past couple of years they've always had a very quick winger. They had Bruma, who was insanely fast. They had Gary Rodriguez, who was really fast, and of course yesterday they had Onyekuru, who was blisteringly quick. And one of the things that Besiktas fans have been saying about, for example, Onyekuru is he doesn't really have much of an end product yet. Maybe that'll come, maybe it won't, but the least you can say is that he creates chaos in the opposition defense just with being as quick as he is. And I think maybe one of the problems in terms of acquisition and transfer policy is that you did get a good player in Ryan Babel. I think you guys are being a little bit harsh on him. Of course, I witnessed him at Besiktas. I have also witnessed the frustration, but I think that maybe the profile was wrong in the sense that Ryan Babel isn't a slowpoke by any means, but he's not a speedster either. He's not a Gary Rodriguez, or especially not a Bruma or an Onyekuru, who are just so quick. And maybe that's just one of the issues that you guys are missing, because I know that Umut has been hammering home that you guys just miss speed on the wings. And maybe that's just one of the big issues where I think the only quick winger you have is Emre Mor, really quick, but he kind of reminds me of Kerim Frey in the sense that he does have that speed, but he doesn't use it enough. He's just too obsessed with dribbling his man sometimes. And yeah, he does have some good passes here and there, but again, not much of an end product. And I think he needs to use his speed a little bit more. And Terim seemingly doesn't seem to have a lot of confidence in him right now. But would you agree with that assessment that you do lack that Onyekuru, Bruma type player right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think having a fast, explosive winger was something of a tradition that we'd built up over the years at Gala. Mm-hmm. And if you think back to Abdülkadir Keita, for example, who was one of my favourites, the guy was just exploding down the wings. Fans love to see it. He could just take on anyone and win a race. And we've had that over the last few years as well. And we are missing that. I think just generally our whole gameplay is so slow. So slow, and part of that is absolutely down to the wingers, because you're right, Babel isn't exactly a slow poke, but he has a very predictable style as a winger. He's not the kind of guy who's just going to pull up and down the wings.
Yeah. He's going to cut inside and look for the shot.
Exactly, that's the thing. And by doing that, we actually end up wasting a lot of the spaces at the higher end of the pitch, because he kind of approaches the box and then kind of cuts in. There's a whole section of the pitch up towards the corner flag and up down the far end byline where that space just gets left unused. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, we can't put any crosses into the box of Falcao. We can't work the ball into the box either, because we have two very wasteful wingers. Mor is also very wasteful. So Yeah, lack of pace, or at least lack of focus of Emre's pace in his case. But then again, he's not really playing much either. So I think I do definitely agree that we're missing pace and aggressiveness on the wings, and it's quite easy for a defence to pick out Ryan Babel because he's quite a predictable player, cutting in and shooting, like you said. Emre Mor doesn't have the game time, and we are effectively playing a very central formation. But then again, we have someone like Belhanda in the middle who's not doing anything. So basically, our midfield is not firing in all cylinders at all, despite having signed all these extra players, because the effectiveness of the Lemina and Zonzi and Seri isn't put to good use because of the players in front of them.
Final question: should you have had a penalty in 90th minute at a time? Umut seems to think it was a penalty on Belhanda.
Yeah, I think he was dragged down. If you see it in slow motion, you can see the Göztepe player kind of putting his arm across Belhanda's body. So I think that should have been given a penalty as a penalty. Yeah, that would have been Belhanda's first positive contribution in a Galatasaray jersey.
And should he have been sent off for his reaction, because he got a yellow card and then he kept on?
Oh yeah,
going.
He does this. He has this. I mean, the guy is. I think I described him as someone who's fixed on trying to sabotage Galatasaray. I think I wrote this over a year ago on Twitter, and he just. I think remember when he got sent off against Fenerbahce for his poor behaviour in last season's derby as well. The guy just doesn't have a cool head, to say the least, and the referee was well within his rights to discipline him for that, but he didn't. He showed a lot of leniency to Belhanda, and I was a bit disappointed.
Yakup, what did you think of that position? Did you think it was a penalty?
Yeah, he got grabbed, but in my opinion, he just, he fell too easily, Probably wouldn't given a penalty either, but I can understand why some Galatasaray fans think that it should have been a penalty.
But did you think, Pat, was it a penalty? We don't have our man of the law. Who else am I supposed to ask?
Yeah, I think it could have gone either way, really. Again, it's just one of those things that, if the ref had lent in a slightly different way, or if he'd seen it from a slightly different angle, he may have called it. But ultimately, no, it wasn't called.
Yeah, I watched it. I paused it, stop, pause before the broadcast, before taping. I didn't feel like he was dragging him. It felt like his arm's definitely on there. You can't deny that. But I don't think he's actually.
Yeah, there's clear contact there.
Yeah, I don't think he's pulling him down or anything. It just felt, to me, it kind of looked like Belhanda feels that arm on him, and he's just like, oh, I'm gonna go down because I fucked this position up. Kind of like a reaction almost. Because this is a very natural thing to do in the dying minutes, and then you feel some contact and you go down. I didn't feel like he really. It's not like he was tugging his shirt or anything. I didn't feel like he was pushing down on the shoulder. I think it would have been soft, but hey, if the referee gives it, keep your arms to yourself. That's all you can say. Mariano, red card or not, Yakup?
Yeah, I think it was a red card, but I also think that the player that he was battling with should have also given a red card. Should have also been given a red card, because if I don't remember it wrong, I think he slapped his hand across his face, and that's why Mariano, just.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic behavior from Mariano. He's not just gonna do that, I think.
Yeah, so if you give Mariano a red, which I think you should have, then the other player should have also been given a red card.
I kind of felt like it. You have those. When you have those headbutts where a player isn't actually headbutting, but it's making a movement, but he's not actually making contact, and that's a red card for just making the movement. Apparently. I kind of felt like it was like that. I didn't really feel like he was really hitting him hard, so I kind of, I don't know. I think yellow is fine, honestly. I know I'm not going to get myself over with the Besiktas and Fenerbahce fans like that, but I don't know. I think it would have been a little harsh to send them off. It was definitely an aggression, and maybe that's why you should send them off, but I don't really buy the fact that he was hurting. It kind of felt more like a slap on the back. Not that that's not you're supposed to do that. And a couple of weeks ago, when Belhanda kicked the guy in the back, I said that was a red card, and I just feel like when you're kicking someone with your feet, even if it's not that very hard, it just comes across as so much more malicious. I don't know, maybe I'm letting my personal interpretation having the best of me here, but I don't know, I think yellow was kind of okay. Let's move over to Sunday then, with Sivasspor taking on Ankaragücü. This match ending 3-1 for Sivasspor, who are now second in the league with 12 points out of a potential 21. Lots of points being dropped by everyone, really. Dever Ergil had put Ankaragücü 1-0 up in the 15th minute after a huge blunder from goalkeeper Samasa, but Mert Hakan Yandaş scored a brace in the 26th and the 48th minute. He equalized and put Sivasspor ahead, and then in the 90th minute Mustafa Yatabare made it 3-1. I think we can agree on a deserved victory for Ankaragücü. Quickly, Pat, do you have any notes on this match?
I do indeed, yeah. A good win for Sivasspor there. I mean, goodness knows what the Sivasspor defence was thinking, because it was a gift of a goal for Ankaragücü, to say the least. Ankaragücü didn't play too bad. I think they had a couple of chances and the possession was fairly equal. They actually had the more shots of 14 compared to 11. Very similar shots on target as well. And they could have had a potential penalty as well. I think there was, again, one of those things that didn't go their way, but may have gone if it had been a slightly different angle that the ref had seen potentially. But yeah, two fantastic goals from Sivasspor. The second one was an absolute belter, I thought, and the third one's pretty good as well. And yeah, ultimately, 5 shots on target, 3 goals, and 3 points.
Yeah, Mert Hakan Yandaş on the verge of a breakout season, really. Already scored a really nice goal against Besiktas too, I think, if I'm not mistaken, earlier in the season. And he's just been very good for Sivasspor, and they're having a good season start, and they're at the top of the table. In the next match day, which is going to be in 2 weeks, of course, they will be playing Galatasaray, so it's going to be interesting. Let's move over to the next match, Besiktas against Alanyaspor. This match ending 2-0 to Besiktas. Finally a win for Besiktas. It's only their second in the season so far, following their 3-0 win over Göztepe at Vodafone Park. Goals here coming from Burak Yilmaz in the 52nd minute from the penalty spot, and from Abdoulaye Diaby in the 69th minute, scoring his first goal for the club on an assist from Burak Yilmaz, by the way. But a couple of minutes before that, there was a penalty shout for Alanyaspor, which I was personally baffled by that it wasn't given. I think it was a very obvious handball. I asked around and showed it to a couple of people who know a little bit more about the IFAB rules. I didn't get a reply. So I honestly don't know why that would not have gone to VAR, because for me that was quite obvious that should have gone to VAR. Apart from that, I really felt like this was a typical big team against a small team match, where one team is kind of playing good football, the other one is trying to hit the other one on the counter. The only thing is that the roles were kind of reversed here, where Besiktas kind of seemingly were praying a little bit to hit Alanyaspor on the counter, and I really felt like Alanyaspor were playing some brilliant football at times and really showing their quality, and I don't think the scoreline is a fair reflection of them, really. Don't get me wrong, I think Besiktas played a good game. Caner Erkin in particular had a fantastic match. I think he won like 9 out of 9 potential duels, had like 7 successful tackles and 2 aerials won, and he just was great defensively, which we're not used to saying about him. But I think the big talking point has to be that penalty for Alanyaspor, because it's just a couple of minutes before that 2-0. And in the final minutes, we did see Alanyaspor putting up a fight, trying to get back in the match and really putting Karius to the test a couple of times, but they couldn't get past him. I'm kind of having a deja vu right now, I don't know why. But yeah, the penalty for Besiktas, Nkudu, the man creating chaos on the left, he had a good match too, cost him quite a bit of problems. There was a couple of penalty shouts in the first half too, I think, for Besiktas then. Also, Nkudu was involved in both of those. I think one was on Atiba, the other one was on Nkudu, but I think that might have been outside the box. The Atiba one I don't remember exactly, but he was pretty good, had a good one-on-one opportunity, great save by Marufoglu with his foot. Yeah, I think Besiktas played an okay match. Alanyaspor were, in my opinion, the better sides, quality-wise. And yeah, the big talking point is that penalty. I think we can all agree that was a penalty, right? Özer, what did you think of that handball from Atiba? It hit his arm when he was, I don't know, swinging it back or whatever.
Yeah, he kind of had his back to the back to the ball, I think, but his arm was
he was like running
in
and
an
it was like
unnatural position. So I guess it's fair enough.
Yeah, what did you think it was were you surprised it didn't go to VAR though, because it wasn't given? It should have gone to VAR, right?
Yeah, I think it should have gone to VAR. Yeah.
Yakup and Pat, I think you will both agree too.
Yeah, I agree.
So Besiktas having a Murphy's Law season, but on this day they did not go wrong for them in that case. The penalty for Besiktas, the foul on Nkudu, correct call. Yakup, gonna start with you.
Yeah, it looked like a correct call. He stepped on his foot, if I don't remember it wrong. So yeah, correct call. I also a throwback to like 10 minutes ago. I googled the question about if you can if the penalty is retaken. If the penalty is retaken, it counts as a brand new penalty, so you can change the kicker. I found a really dubious source. I don't know, but the guy is supposedly a ref in the FAI, the Irish league, so it is supposed to be correct.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to this match. Alanyaspor, apart from that position, though, I think it was the referee was, I felt like favoring Alanya a little bit, but a big decision should have, these things should not happen.
We should say Geçmiş as well to Dorukhan, really sad.
Twisted his knee, out for 4, 5, 6 months. And by the time he's fit again, I think his season will be pretty much over. And he was playing a very good match at right back. I actually prefer to see him there than I do in midfield. Had a very good game. He'll be out. Oğuzhan Yakup will be out with a hamstring injury for a couple of weeks too. So will Nkudu. So Besiktas playing Ankaragücü next in Ankara after the international break. So they might have to do without 3 players. So they did get 3 points, but they also lost 3 players for the next for the next game, and then to come for the foreseeable future. But a very important win for Besiktas, of course. They had to get that confidence boost against, right now, I think the team that's playing the best football in the league, bar Trabzonspor maybe. Alanyaspor have been impressive. I think this is their first defeat. I'm not surprised why it's their first defeat, because they even in this match I felt like they really showed some great stuff. They're definitely going to be a difficult opponent for whoever thinks of winning the title this season. They're going to have to get past these guys, and they'll give everyone a run for the money, I feel like. Let's move over to the next one. That was Gaziantep against Basaksehir. This match ending 1-2 in favor of Basaksehir, who had completely missed their start of the season, just like Besiktas did. But they have had a little bit of a resurgence in the recent weeks. They now have, I believe, 7 points in their last 3 matches. Enzo Crivelli, very instrumental in that, with 5 goals as well so far this season in 6 games. And he had 2 in this match. He got on the score sheet in the 13th minute, putting Basaksehir 1-0 up on a Edin Visca assist. Al-Attede, as they would say it on the commentary. It was just a simple tap-in. Visca just putting it right in front of him. Guray Vural got sent off 5 minutes later through VAR. I think that was a correct decision. Then Patrick Toumassi capitalized on a blunder from Mert, the goalkeeper, and made it 1-1 in the 24th minute. But in the 71st minute, Enzo Crivelli scored his 5th of the season and made it 1-2. Again, it was Edin Visca supplying him with the assist. And Basaksehir getting the win against a tough team, but obviously playing against 10 men for more than 70 minutes. Özer, quickly your thoughts on this match, please.
Yeah, this game was all about Enzo Crivelli. It's been a great signing for Basaksehir, the 24-year-old Frenchman. Now, just looking into his background, he was actually so he's a former France under-21 player, and he was actually the top scorer at the Toulon tournament in 2015 as well. So he has a decent pedigree, and it's a really good signing for Basaksehir. He looks like a very good player. It'll be interesting to see how he finishes the season. He's, like you say, he's already got 5 goals.
Yeah, and 2 of which came one against Fenerbahce, one against Besiktas, so he's doing it in the big games too.
And absolutely, and we didn't mention Basaksehir at the start of the show on the European roundup, but they actually played pretty well.
And Visca finally seems to have found his footing.
exactly. Because the first month or so he looked pretty off form, but he seems to be back in action now, back to his old stuff. And for Basaksehir, that means, of course, that they're playing fluid football again. So maybe even with the loss of Emre Belözoğlu, they can still keep that kind of dynamism in midfield if Visca can take the reins, and it looks like he's rising to the occasion. Tomasi for Göztepe as well. I think he scored 4 goals now this season. He looks like a good player as well. Although I'm not sure if Güray's red was actually that fair. I saw it a few times and I thought it went to VAR. Referee was very hasty to give a red for that. I thought that was a yellow card would have been more appropriate.
High boot again, I think it was kind of effective again. It was too high above the ankle again, I think.
Maybe, yeah. It's very... Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Göztepe plays some good football as well, but Basaksehir definitely deserves 3 points.
Gaziantep, we should say now, because they changed their name. They are no longer known as Göztepe. They are now Gaziantep Football Club, so we can just call them Gaziantep. Makes it easier for us.
Okay.
But yeah, they've definitely been a good side and a difficult team to beat. I think apart from that opening match day against Fenerbahce, they've been very good in pretty much every match. Let's talk about the Trabzonspor game then and finish up our last episode before the international break. Çaykur Rizespor Trabzonspor, the Black Sea derby, ending 1-2 in very emphatic fashion. Trabzonspor get the win here. In the 23rd minute, Dario Melniak had put the host 1-0 up. In the 73rd minute, Alexander Sorlov, Özer's favorite, scored the equalizer on an assist from was it sorry? Sturridge, right. I knew I had to highlight the assist. Daniel Sturridge gets his first assist in Turkey, and he also hit the crossbar a couple of minutes later. Would have been a spectacular goal. But in the 90th minute, Antonin Wakayeme clinches it for Trabzonspor with a fantastic finish, I felt like. And again, Sørloth involved here. He headed it through, and I think even Sturridge was the one playing it into Sørloth. I might be mistaken there, but so Sørloth gets a goal and an assist. Wakayeme gets the critical winning goal. And before I give the mic to you, Yakup, I just have to say, with all our teams struggling how they are, Galatasaray dropping points left and right, Fenerbahce dropping points quite frequently as well, and then Besiktas, of course, having an absolute dreadful start of the season. Basaksehir their motor starts to get running here. But we have to say, with Trabzonspor, with the setbacks that they have had, with the major injury to Abdülkadir Ömür, who was a key component of that team, probably next to Wakayeme and Sosa, their most important player right now, or should have been right now, and still for them to play so convincingly, I felt like they were the better team in this match. Throughout, they should have not been behind. They had the better chances. I think it's quite commendable. I don't know how, for example, a Besiktas would perform if they lost one of their key players. Let's say Burak got injured for the season. I think there's... I don't even want to think about it. Let's say Fenerbahce lose Emre or they lose Muric. You know, it's such a crucial player, Abdülkadir is, even at that tender age, and still Trabzonspor are doing quite well without him. But Yakup, please, your thoughts on the match.
Before I'm going to talk about the game, I just want to say rest in peace to Isaac Promise, our old player that passed away on the 3rd of October from I think a heart attack at the age of like 32. He was a big talent when he came to us. Didn't really perform that well, but you always saw that he had another goal, but it just didn't work out, unfortunately. But about the game, the Çaykur games are always difficult. The away games are always difficult because typically in Karadeniz they think about Trabzonspor as the big guy to defeat. You know, all the teams, all the Black Sea teams like Samsun, like Giresun, like Çaykur are always trying their best to play their best game against Trabzonspor. You know. So coming into this game, I was a bit afraid because these games are always really horrible to watch. And the moment I saw them getting on the pitch, I thought that with the unbelievably harsh rain, that I was really afraid that a couple of our players are going to get injured. You know, we are already pretty injury-wise, we were already pretty much down on the rotation. Nobody left on the rotation.
Yeah. For a second there, actually, I thought Sosa was gonna send off because there was like a tackle where he collided with another player, and I was looking at it, I was like, and then
it was a really hard game.
And definitely with the rain.
I do kind of feel that I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Hüseyin Göçek to start with. I don't think he's a good ref. He's a biased ref.
Who is good?
And I don't think. Yeah, that's also a point. But he gave Obi Mikel a yellow card in the 6 minutes. That wasn't supposed to be a yellow card in my opinion. It should have been a yellow card if it was like 10 or 15 minutes later. But that crippled Mikel for pretty much the whole game. He played 84 minutes with a yellow card.
Mm-hmm.
That started it. But I have to say, the first half, Çaykur was the much better team. Trabzonspor have a lot of players that like to have the ball on their feet. And with the unbelievable rain the whole game, it was really difficult for players like Vakayeme or Sosa to show their parts. I saw a couple of passes from Sosa just fall flat because the moment they hit the pitch, they just stopped dead on the tracks. The goal from Melnyak, just an unbelievable shot. I don't think that Uğurcan could have done better. The ball just swerved at the last second. I was a little bit afraid because Novak left the pitch on the 31st minute with an injury. And Doğan Erdoğan, I didn't think that he played that great of a game against Basel, so I was a little bit afraid that he would have done the same.
He had a pretty decent match though.
Yeah, I liked him this game, so he had a nice game. But the biggest thing for me was seeing Obi Mikel, just keep getting better and better. I'm normally a big fan of Hosseini, but Hosseini didn't have the greatest match, to be honest. I saw Hüseyin Türkmen, fixing his errors a lot. The first goal, finally, since Sturridge came to Trabzonspor, I'm just desperate to see a goal of his. I'm always like, okay, this is the match, and he played a really good match. You just see that he's a Premier League proven player, and you can just see it every moment he touches the ball. And he even said on Instagram that he hasn't played in conditions like this before. So props to him for being in a weird situation but still making the best of it.
You'd expect the player who played in England for that long to have played in some rain, right?
Yeah, with all the rain that's over there. But at the first goal, it was a great pass by him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that the game against Besiktas, what Trabzonspor regularly do after big games, they if we win, we take a picture. The squad takes a picture in the changing rooms.
In the dressing room,
yeah, there was a little bit of promotion because Sturridge wasn't looking too happy, in the picture, and people were a little bit might have been a little bit pissed off because he played for like 8 minutes or something, if I don't remember it wrong.
Turkish fans.
Yeah, standard thing. But today, after that game, there you see him smiling and he's showing all his teeth. So I hope everything is going okay. Great pass for the first goal. Sherlock's deadly in the. He's a big guy, but he's pretty nimble. That's what I like about him.
Good header.
Good header. He had a Sturridge at the kick that had a shot that just hit the post really hard from 30 meters. I bet you cursed. Yeah, I was like, fuck, it's just 2 inches just 2 inches down. It was in.
Yeah, you just need him to get off the mark, maybe to get him a confidence boost, and he might be off to the races. That's one of those things with those types of players. Once they get that first goal, it can go quickly.
I think it's a little bit it's a little bit difficult to play Sturridge at the moment. Sturridge is doing pretty well. You can if you're on the right, it's not his best position. He does play good, but as a striker, you just want him in the. I remember the game against Basel, with the wonder from Abdülkadir Parmak. I remember that he said to Parmak, just let me take it, and I think that it's always dangerous for a player like Sturridge to be on the ball. So as you said, the moment he gets one, I think it will he will just pop out.
Maybe you just have to play
the second
5-3-2. I think you have good wing
Yeah.
backs. And with Abdulkadir out, I think playing 5-3-2 would make sense. Of course, where do you put Nwakaeme then? That's the question.
Yeah, I think what you then do is just the problem would be Nwakaeme because you have to replace someone to put him there. But the second half of the game, I thought that Trabzonspor was the better side. I really liked Olcan. Olcan had a really great game in my opinion from Çaykur Rize. He was really dangerous, and I think that if the pitch was a little bit better, he probably would have scored a couple because
he had
was
that
really
one
dangerous,
position
but,
where I think Doğan Erdoğan did really well to contain him.
But all in all, the second goal, it was just like I was just about screaming in the house. I was really annoyed by the pitch. But Nwakaeme just with a deadly finish.
Do you think that match should have been postponed because of the rainfall, or was it still okay?
I mean, it was weird because the center of the pitch looked good, but the sides of the pitch were horrible. The moment
probably
the ball
slopes off a little bit.
I don't know, but the moment the moment the ball went a little bit to the side, the ball just dropped. It wouldn't roll any further. So I think that Hüseyin Göçek was like, just fuck it, just let it play because it won't get any better.
I don't want to have to come back next week or something.
yeah, probably. But I like that. Finally, Ünal Karaman, I am a little bit angry with him like every week because his tactical knowledge is not the best. His subs are really subpar sometimes.
I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I thought that putting what was his name, Kamil on the right was a very good move because he plays two fullbacks to mark Nkudu, and Nkudu was very ineffective in that match. And I think that's one of the few games in which Nkudu really hasn't been able to, at least, I'm not going to say shine, because like I said before, he doesn't really have much end product, but he causes so much trouble for most teams with his speed. Just that speed is just... It creates chaos. Even if he's not having a good game, he's gonna cause problems, and that's going to afford other players opportunities. And I felt like that was a very good move by him. I don't know if he intended it that way. Maybe it was just dumb luck. But looking at the lineup before the match, that's the first thing that popped into my head. It's like, that's how they're gonna take Nkudu out of the match, and it was pretty effective. So I don't know if his tactical prowess is that bad. But he's not that experienced as a coach at this level, so maybe he needs a little bit of time. But at least he's gutsy. He gaat uit van eigen kracht. How should I put that? But that's a big thing for Trabzonspor, especially because I feel like that's kind of been an issue for them in recent years.
The biggest thing that Ünal Karaman has done to this team is he gave everyone confidence. He brought the team to a point that they're just fighting to the death for him. Every time the team is really focused, they're always really prepared. And normally the problem with Trabzonspor is the moment they concede a goal, they just they're like, just fuck it, this won't end well, we'll lose.
That's Besiktas now.
Yeah, pretty much a lot of Turkish teams have that, but Karaman has kept the team, morally, mentally, they're really strong. And games like this, like if you told me this, if I watched this game like 2 years ago, I was like, the moment the first goal went in, like, okay, this is going down then like 4-0 for Çaykur. But you saw the team just pick up, just go for it. At the end of the game, they went to the fans and they
didn't panic, which is important too. They kept playing their game until the last minutes, and they eventually found that winner, which I think it's kind of like Besiktas the first season, or even the second season under, maybe even more so the second season under Güneş, where they kept playing their game even if it was the 90th minute. They were confident in the fact that they would get that win. It's something we've seen a lot with Galatasaray too, where they keep playing their game, they don't panic, and that's I think it's a great sign of a coach who has the players' confidence, and who has got confident players to play for him too, like you say.
I mean, I saw because I saw at the end of the game when the game ended and the players went to the fans that went all the way to Rize. Mm-hmm. And the cameras really captured the moment. Yeah, it's like 200 kilometers. It's not that far, but still. You saw like Obi Mikel the moment the second goal went in. Obi Mikel, hugging Sosa. The moment the first goal went in, Sosa and Abdulkadir going to Sturridge and hugging him. The team is really close to each other, and it pays off. Mm-hmm. At the end, they made like the whole line of players, and they went to the crowd, and they did their sliding thing, and that's the stuff that I want to see. Even though you could play a bad game, but you still have to fight for the game. You shouldn't give up the moment that you're down a goal. And this team has shown that even though we have a lot of youngsters in the team, the experienced players that we have, the veterans, are just holding players up and just continuing the fight the whole game. As a big fan of Sosa, I love the guy, and you can just see that he's the guy that like, come on, fight. I hope we resign. I just give him a contract with an empty line on how much he wants. Just sign him.
No, don't do that.
No, I'm really a fan of Sosa is a player that that doesn't depend on his pace. He's the guy that depends on his vision. Mm-hmm. And generally, players that are like that, even though they age, they don't really lose that ability.
Mm-hmm.
But
father time catches up to everyone.
Yeah, we saw that with Selçuk. I know that our Galatasaray.
Yeah, that's weird because he's a similar player, right? That doesn't rely too heavily on his maybe he relies more on stamina, but so does Sosa, by the way. But he doesn't rely on pace either, and he is more of a passer. But I'm surprised too by the decline that Selçuk has had the last year or 3, but I kind of feel like he's been declining for longer than that. Like he's been going downhill for longer than that. But anyway, let's not talk about Selçuk now. Anything left to say about this match, Yakup? Or can we put a bow around it?
Great game, great team.
Pat, any observations on this match, or shall we head into the standings?
Should we head into the standings, see how things are lined up after that interesting week?
Yeah, let's do so. So at the top of the table are still Alanyaspor with 14 points, and then we have a bunch of teams, three in fact, who are on 12 points, including Sivasspor, Trabzonspor, and Konyaspor. Then we have Fenerbahce just below that with 11 points, and we have a couple more teams on 11 points there too, including Istanbul Basaksehir, Antalyaspor, of course, who beat Fenerbahce this weekend, and also Gaziantep Football Club, as I should say. And then Galatasaray are currently in 10th position with 10 points. Besiktas, with their win, have eked out of the relegation zone. Now they have 8 points and are in 12th position. The bottom three, let's quickly look at that. We have Kayserispor dead bottom with 3 points, the same amount as against Sherbali. And then we have Kasim Pasha on 7 points, but there's a couple. There's another team on 7 points there. I think. No, it's Rizespor on 8. So, mainly Kayserispor and Gençlerbirliği who are having major struggles. And as we did mention, Kayseri having some changes right now with their chairman resigning, coaching change and stuff like that too, I think. There's one more thing I forgot to mention. Did you guys see Samudika get a yellow card? The way he was, I think he pushed one of the opposition players or something. He was really very volatile early on in the match, and he's a very combustible figure. Let's head over to the fixtures for within 2 weeks, because of course we have the international break in which Turkey will play Albania at home, and they will travel away to France. So 2 crucial games. If Turkey can get a win against Albania, it will be a huge move towards qualification for the Euros. And of course, France, that's going to be tough. We beat them once before, so you never know. But let's head into the Super League Matchday 8 fixtures, which is of course in 2 weeks' time. On Friday, we have Galatasaray hosting Sivasspor. Then on Saturday, we have Antalyaspor against Gençlerbirliği, Trabzonspor, Gaziantep Futbol Kulübü, Basaksehir Göztepe, and Ankaragücü Besiktas. On Sunday we have Kayserispor Kasımpaşa, Alanyaspor Rizespor, Denizlispor, Fenerbahçe is the main event, and then Monday we have Konyaspor Malatyaspor. That's it for match day 8 fixtures and of course our discussion on the match day 7 results. Pat, thank you very much once again for filling in for Burak. Thank you, Yakup, for joining us too. And of course, thank you to Özer, who has already left because he only has an hour. And thank you for listening to this episode of Football a la Turca. And we'll see you again probably in the middle of the international break with a quick roundup of the international matches. And of course, with episode 8 in 2 weeks when we cover match day 8 of the Turkish Super League. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye.